You are currently carrying a high-tech, waterproof biological upgrade that only activates when your body senses you are in a slippery situation. Look at your fingertips after 10 minutes in the bath or a swimming pool. They look like a map of the Grand Canyon or a 90-year-old version of yourself. For decades, the smartest people in the world told us this was just a simple physical reaction. They told us our skin was acting like a sponge, soaking up water until it became too big for our bones and had to fold in on itself. But they were 100% wrong. In fact, if you were to cut a specific nerve in your arm, your fingers would never wrinkle again, no matter how long you stayed in the water. This isn't your skin failing or getting soggy. It is a calculated, precision-engineered survival mechanism triggered by your brain to turn your hands into high-grip rain tires. To understand why your body does this, we first have to kill the most common myth in biology. Almost every teacher, parent, and even some doctors used to explain pruning through a process called osmosis. The theory was that because there is less salt in your bath water than there is in your skin cells, the water rushes into your skin to even things out. This supposedly makes the outer layer of your skin, the stratum corneum, expand and buckle. It sounds logical, but there is a massive hole in that logic. If your skin was just a sponge, why does it only happen on your fingers and toes? Why doesn't your belly wrinkle? Why don't your forearms or your cheeks turn into a raisin after a long swim? If it were just osmosis, your entire body would swell up until you looked like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. The real breakthrough came in 1935 when two surgeons, George Wright and Thomas Pruning, were observing a patient with nerve damage. They noticed something that changed everything we know about human skin. The patient had a paralyzed arm, and when they put that arm in water, it stayed perfectly smooth. The skin refused to wrinkle. Meanwhile, the healthy arm wrinkled exactly as expected. This was the smoking gun. It proved that skin wrinkling isn't a passive reaction, like a sponge soaking up a spill. It is an active, smart response controlled by your autonomic nervous system. That is the same part of your brain that controls your heartbeat, your breathing, and your fight or flight response. Your brain is literally choosing to make you look like a prude. But how does the brain actually do it? It doesn't use water to fill the skin, it uses blood to pull it. When your fingers stay wet for more than 5 minutes, the sympathetic nervous system sends a signal to the blood vessels in your fingertips. It tells those vessels to constrict or get smaller. As the blood vessels shrink, the volume of the tissue beneath your skin drops. This creates a negative pressure, pulling the deeper layers of skin downward. Because the top layer of skin is anchored at certain points but not others, it gets sucked down into those iconic ridges and valleys. It is essentially your brain pulling a drawstring on your skin to create a specific pattern. Now, why would evolution go through all that trouble? Nature doesn't do anything for free. It costs energy and resources to move blood and change the shape of your body. In 2011, an evolutionary biologist named Mark Changizi suggested that these wrinkles aren't random. They are a drainage system. If you look closely at a wrinkled finger, the ridges never form a circle. They are always long, disconnected channels that run from the center of the finger to the edges. This is exactly how the tread on a high-performance rain tire is designed. Think about what happens when a car drives on a wet road at 60 miles per hour. A thin layer of water gets trapped between the rubber of the tire and the asphalt. This is called hydroplaning, and it makes the car lose all control because the rubber isn't actually touching the road. To fix this, engineers cut deep grooves into the tires. These grooves give the water a place to escape, allowing the rubber to make firm contact with the ground. Your fingers are doing the exact same thing. When you reach for a wet rock or a slippery branch, the water is channeled away through the valleys of your wrinkles, giving your skin a 15% to 20% better grip than it would have if it were smooth. In 2013, researchers at Newcastle University decided to put this to the test with a group of volunteers. They had people pick up 45 wet objects, ranging from glass marbles to lead fishing nets. Some people had smooth, dry hands, and others had pruned hands from soaking in warm water for 30 minutes. The results were undeniable. The people with broken fingers were still immediately faster at cleaning up objects. It was nearly illegal to see it again. This discovery paints a fascinating picture of our ancestors.
Imagine a prehistoric human 50,000 years ago, standing in a shallow stream, trying to catch a fish or gather shellfish from a slippery riverbed. In that environment, a 20% increase in grip isn't just a fun fact, it is the difference between eating and starving. Or imagine fleeing a predator in a rainstorm. Being able to climb a wet tree or grab a damp vine with rain-tire fingers could be the reason you survived to pass on your genes. But the story gets even deeper. Why does it take 5 to 10 minutes for the wrinkles to show up? Why aren't they just there all the time? Well, everything in biology is a trade-off. While wrinkled fingers are great for grip in the water, they are actually worse for other things. They are more prone to snagging on sharp objects, and they have less surface area for sensing fine textures. Your brain waits a few minutes to make sure you are actually in the water for the long haul before it commits to the transformation. It is looking for a pattern of sustained moisture, not just a quick splash. And here is a twist that might save your life one day. Because we know that wrinkling is controlled by the nervous system, doctors can actually use it as a diagnostic tool. If you put your hand in water and your fingers do not wrinkle, it can be a sign of a serious underlying issue with your autonomic nervous system. It is often one of the first signs of certain types of nerve damage or even conditions like cystic fibrosis or Parkinson's disease. In some clinical settings, a water immersion test is a non-invasive way to check if a patient's internal wiring is functioning correctly. If your fingers prune up, it means your brain, your nerves, and your blood vessels are all talking to each other in a perfect high-speed conversation. There's also a weird connection to the temperature of the water. Have you ever noticed that your fingers wrinkle much faster in a hot bath than in a freezing cold lake? This is because heat causes your blood vessels to dilate initially, making the subsequent constriction by the nervous system even more dramatic. In very cold water, your body is already trying to keep blood away from your extremities to save your core temperature, so the wrinkling signal is sometimes muffled. When you look at your feet, you see the same pattern. Your toes wrinkle just like your fingers. This serves the same rain-tire purpose, but for walking. If our ancestors were running across wet rocks or damp moss, having treaded soles on their feet would prevent slips and broken bones. We are essentially walking around with built-in, all-terrain footwear that only deploys when the ground gets muddy. Think about the incredible complexity of that for a second. Your skin is the largest organ in your body, and it is packed with sensors that can detect a single drop of water. When those sensors report back to the brain that the environment is consistently wet, the brain triggers a localized emergency grip protocol. It moves blood, reshapes tissue, and creates a microscopic drainage system, all without you ever having to think about it. You don't have to tell your fingers to wrinkle any more than you have to tell your heart to beat. It is a silent guardian of your physical safety. So the next time you are sitting in the tub and you see those ridges forming, don't feel like you are getting old or soggy. You are actually witnessing a multi-million-year-old survival strategy in action. You are watching your body optimize itself for a different environment. You are becoming a more efficient, more capable version of a human being. It is a reminder that we are not just biological accidents. We are precision-tuned machines designed to survive in a world that is often slippery, wet, and dangerous. This realization also changes how we look at other animals. Macaque monkeys have been observed with wrinkled fingers after swimming, which suggests that this trait is shared among our primate cousins. It hints at a long evolutionary history of foraging in the water. We are part of a long line of wet weather specialists who use their superior grip to dominate their environments. The next time you're at a pool party or just washing the dishes, take a look at your hands and appreciate the genius of your own biology. Your body is constantly monitoring the world around you, ready to deploy 1,000 tiny adjustments to keep you safe and in control. You are a masterpiece of engineering, right down to your wrinkly little fingertips. What is the longest time you have ever stayed in a pool or a bath until your fingers looked completely unrecognizable? Let me know in the comments. If you found this dive into human biology fascinating, make sure to hit the like button and share this video with someone who still thinks their skin is just a sponge. Don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the weird way your body looks. See you in the next one.